And this is the cruise liner Vengeance on its maiden voyage,
With
just taking
ceremonial
leaving the harbor.
ceremonial smoke
Look at
trails.
waving all the people on vacation. Goodbye. Yay. And look at the smoke billowing out of the
Hmm?
smokestacks. Yeah.
I gotta say the CG in Into Darkness was pretty damn good, and it was certainly
Yeah.
impressive to see the ship crash into everything. Although with a lot of damage, a lot of he killed a lot of people
How
without
many lot?
meaning to.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
loss of lives is. People complain about the loss of lives in Superman.
yeah.
This is probably much more.
At least it didn't explode, because that would have been all of San Francisco. I mean, that possibly could have been like that corner of the US. I mean, this is a 1,000 meter ship with, and as we know from the first movie, 8 warp cores. The original JJ Price has probably like 27 warp cores, whatever. I mean, or even fuel cells, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of antimatter and matter
yeah.
mixing there. Yeah,
So thank God Khan
little
didn't
big
send self
chunk of the
destruct.
planet.
If Khan sent self destruct, although he would have died too. No, transport beaming. Obviously, they've got yeah. He's using transport beaming, gets
Right.
shuttle in orbit, blows up.
Genetically engineered Superman and JJ.
Yeah.
He's genetically engineered Superman and JJ verse. Nothing can kill him.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So
Anyway, next
the
picture.
next picture is a. This was actually the one on the desk, and I
Yeah,
know
it's a nice model. I would like that actually.
actually it's interesting. It's different to the Eagle Moss one. If you look at the Aztecing, it's in concentric rings,
Hmm.
much more uniform. My one's much more random. What do you think of the much more obvious Aztecing?
I generally on I generally like Aztecing because it gives scale and it makes it seem more realistic to me.
Oh God, scale. These plates are bloody huge. Jesus.
Well, I meant for regular
Yeah.
ships. But
Oh.
yeah, I generally approve of the look of Aztecing overall. I think a smooth surface on these ships, despite what some of the designers like Judge Drexler might say, I think that smaller plates that could be easily repaired and whatever, I think is more practical than grown organic skins.
Well, I mean, you have organic skin and you have armor on top of it,
I'm down with that. Yeah.
and you have little plates that have some basically a blade of hull armor, and you don't have the full thing covered because it makes it too, whatever. I don't know, science.
Yeah. Well, I wish that the TOS Enterprise had Aztec.
We see it in Defiant. Yes, it's Defiant, so
True.
it looks pretty nice. I read the magazine, like I said, and the reason they put the Aztecing was specifically because they realized when it was a full matte black, and they said we can't see it in a lot of the shots, so they had to put it. They had to, just to give it some level of reflection,
Hmm.
which kind of goes against the whole stealth thing. Then,
Yeah.
if you're gonna make it black and unseeable, have no exterior lights, have no exterior anything. Surely make it complete flat matte black.
Yeah, but you're not looking at it with your eyes.
Yes, but you are, because there's a window. Remember, everyone uses windows.
Well, you'd
It's
have to be so
just the
close to
eyes.
it to see anything. Don't even get me started.
On to the next picture. This one is probably from the magazine. Looks like a concept sketch. Pretty close though.
Hmm.
It looks a lot. It's about the same angle, but it looks, the bridge module is much bigger. In this version, it pulls up. In this version, it's much more solid and strong. I kind of like it though. It feels like the whole thing's a big long neck. Much more armored, feels like,
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
and thinner, much thinner. It looks more like a staff. Like if you took out the nacelles, the pylons, and the saucer, it'd be like a staff.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Maybe it's Styles' ship. This little scepter that he has.
or his bottle opener. I gotta say though, one thing I do kind of like, and also don't like, is the ball turrets, which you never got to see because I know they designed the ship with far more weapons you never got to see. They had the pull-out phaser torpedo launcher things. You got normal phasers. You got these ball turrets, which are meant to literally pop out and rotate and be phasers firing. So they're very interesting design, and they give a very different feel, especially for such a square ship to have.
I would like to
balls.
have seen more of the ship. Actually, to be perfectly honest, I mean, if this ship was introduced in 2009 movie as the Enterprise, even with that hole in the saucer, I would have been more happy with it because the proportionality for me is important on the Enterprise. And
If
JJ's
it was
just
grey, if it was the correct
oh
colour
no,
scheme.
I'm saying the correct colors.
Okay.
Yep, everything exactly the same except the correct colors. Even red Bizarre collectors on JJ's would make it look 50 times better. But I mean, even in that case, people would still bitch and whine about how it's got a hole in the saucer and this isn't right and this isn't right. But like I said, proportionality for me is very important. So I would have been happy if this was the Enterprise.
I think it should have been introduced in the first film though, because you don't need this to be the wow surprise big villain ship. This is the sort of ship that can lead into a big battle. Like it shouldn't just be introduced. Here's a big ship. It should have been teased. It should have been like
Would have been cool if it was in the battle and was damaged critically, but survived that battle with the Narada.
Yeah, it's the one ship that survived, that managed to get sensor scans, that managed to improve its weapons for the next film. Or maybe if rather than Marcus's office for the whole second film, they're actually at the shipyard, and you can see it in the background, this big ship, and you get this, and he's talking about this, I'm building this ultimate ship to fight the Klingons, but we don't think we're going to see it. Obviously, people theorize you can see it. But then he's like, I brought it out of dry dock early, like the Excelsior, it's not fully ready, but I need to stop you, Kirk, also I'm a bastard. So... that
makes sense why it was so easily defeated too.
Yeah,
it's quite completed.
Also, only one person. You can't fly a ship with one person, really. I mean, especially a ship this big. And the reason
I love when he refers to the aft nacelle.
Oh yeah, the dialogue just doesn't. Yeah, no.
That's a discussion for another day.
It's a bad precedent when they don't understand science or proportionality or Trek. It doesn't. It's not good for a Trek film, is it?
No.
So, on to the next picture. We take a great look at the middle bit. Okay, first question. Gene Roddenberry. He believed that you can have the bridge on top to give you scale and to, give you a sense of where the heroes are. What do you think he'd say in reaction to this?
I don't know.
Because we know that, another reason for me up there is that shields can protect you against anything. So you don't have to be worried about it being vulnerable because there's shields.
With the bridge being on top, you can only be attacked from the top and somewhat the side. But the
bridge is only the top.
Like underneath.
The bridge is only the top deck, though. I mean, we know how big the ship is. That's like 7 decks. So if you're shooting from the bottom or the side, the side view, you're not going to be able to hit the bridge from the side view. It's not accurate enough. So only you hit the bottom. So you can only still hit it from the top. Although you've got so it's probably only the same rough view. Obviously, a quantum will annihilate the whole thing. That said, if it's got armor there, maybe that's the most reinforced part of the ship. I think probably it's still... Okay, what is the reason for this then? Why is there a big hole here? Apart from stylistically. Let's talk real function. What could you have here that would be beneficial?
You could have force fields somewhat protecting that hole. I don't know.
No, but what added functionality? Like, I see lights here, and there's little white spots. Do you think that could be all the shuttle bays? Or fighter bays? Like, the entire ring is internal shuttle bays. And so they all just launch. And because you've got both sides, they can then just come out and attack.
Interesting, but...
Because there's big spaces. It would make sense. And because, seriously, if this ship is designed to be only operated by one person, or can be, and the bridge is the same size as the Connie, because it's literally the same, or the JJ Prize, the same exact set is repainted, what the hell is in the saucer then? Why do you need that much space?
I know, that's what I'm saying. Why is it so big?
The saucer is conventionally for labs and for living space.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need either for this ship. It's literally a dreadnought. So why? Unless it's got a massive, massive fighter bay, like the D, hundreds of fighters. That would be interesting. And suddenly it's a dreadnought carrier. So it warps in, launches weapons, fires them all, launches a several squadrons of fighters. And because so many things are coming out, and also point defense, I'm sure it can defend against the bridge.
Having said that, it takes me back to the scene where we see the Enterprise and this face-to-face.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying this is a carrier, that makes sense even in modern military terms. You got a heavy cruiser, like a battleship, and you got a carrier beside it, you're going to see that size difference. So to say this is a carrier in the JJ verse makes perfect sense. Because size-wise, yeah, I can see it. I believe that.
Because then you can easily imagine, that this section is just the living quarters and control section, and all of this is armament, armor, secondary power generation,
and all the secondary hull. Yeah, and all the secondary hull is just engineering and weapons,
cargo and weapons. Yeah, because then it's not well proportioned, but it is there to absolutely annihilate. And you can imagine this one ship comes in, launches 300. You're talking like 300 fighters. That against a Klingon armada, that will be a serious threat. Especially if you can close up all the things and make it armoured. And I'm sure there's got to be some sort of retractable armor that can close over. There's got to be, as an emergency backup. There's got to be, hasn't there?
You would think so, but
I mean,
that would make sense.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say there is. There is.
Okay.
Because they know they're flying into an inferior ship that couldn't beat them, remotely. So they're not exactly worried about the situation. I'm sure there's some way of protecting it. And then actually, it being on the same level as the hull means if it then comes out, it can then protect the bridge completely.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
We're really rationalising the ship, aren't we, here?
Yes.
We have to. Although these hulls...
It's our job here in Trekyards.
These hulls, I don't know what they are. They're vents.
All right.
There you go. Anyway.
Yeah, they're coolant vents. Let's move to the next picture. Next picture is interesting. It's kind of a fan take on the design. Made it a real dreadnought.
Is that a Star Wars...
droid control ship?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is, dude.
Oh, wait, no, it's got a... Oh, no, it's Star Trek, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it is, too. Yeah.
It's got three, isn't it? Oh, cool. And that front shot, wow, that's pretty aggressive looking.
Yeah, it's cool looking. I got to admit, I like it. I like the front view, the back view, and the side somewhat. The other views kind of are shit.
The side looks kind of Tholian of how pointy it is. That's very,
very
on Star Trek, very on Federation. I like, though, the nacelles having those slide out light parts. They're kind of cool. Because my model hasn't got that, and obviously we don't see it in the movie. That's kind of cool. Although I don't... Does having it... Because I know there was several versions that had a hole in the middle. Does that make more sense?
If it's like the Galaxy class, Galaxy X, and has a huge gun in the middle of that front part underneath the bridge that could fire through that, and that was somehow an amplification thing.
Oh, interesting.
As it passes through, it's like a magnetic coil or something that speeds it up.
Okay.
It would make for an interesting, cool weapon. But
I mean, and then the entire source is built around a weapon. That's a hell of a "we're going to beat you up" style.
That would make that huge cannon on the bottom of the Galaxy S make sense, because the saucer was designed around it.
So you want to try Andrew Probert this design and see if he approves.
I don't want to talk to Andrew Probert about this design because I don't want to hear him go on a tirade for 20 minutes.
So let's go on to the next picture then, but I do like that one, sort of. And this is when we see it fire phaser bolts at the Enterprise at warp, hyperspace, and then it falls out the tunnel.
Which would cause so much shearing and...
No, we do see them come out of warp many other times in many other ways. That happens, but
not sideways. No, we don't. You don't. You're not.
We don't see sideways. No, we don't see sideways.
This is like a corridor that they're in. First of all, which pisses me off.
And you can see the corridor. It's a physical, existent corridor in real space, which means ship
gets hit and damaged and turns sideways and falls out of the corridor. That is bullshit.
Means if you're flying past the sublight, this big blue corridor exists next to you, and it's like, wow, someone's going at warp. Okay. They just move it into the warp stream.
Well, it's probably like another plane of a dimension, so you don't see it. I don't think.
And why did we see it?
It's probably like subspace. I don't know. Don't ask me.
Okay, sorry.
This is just. Oh.
I do like the lights though. I think the lights work better with the blue and the black.
Oh yeah, it looks sexy. I agree with that.
And this angle in particular, the curves are nicer because you can't see the back of the secondary hull. It all feels very sleek. Very not organic, but very sleekly aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
This view is good. Yeah,
it's definitely a very radical design.
Yes, and there's a lot of radical. There's a lot of the radical concept art. And I'm sure we'll get the full episode. We'll talk about them.
Oh yeah.
But let's end on the first picture again, the really high detail one. But we talked a lot about all the different things. I think there is stuff we like. There is stuff we approve of, and you definitely said you'd rather have it than the JJ prize. But fundamentally, unless obviously you have the whole carrier thing, which I think fans might like, because it actually makes a lot of sense, the whole does not make Star Trek sense.
No.
Even the Deredex is a bit of an odd one, but it's a different reasoning for everything. That's because of the line of sight for the nacelles.
Yeah.
It's a odd ship. Like I said, didn't like it that much, just because of the problems, but physically get one, it's decent. I'm happy to have it in my collection.
I would like one for my collection because, and here's my closing thought for this, so
Yep.
you don't have to ask me.
Okay.
When I first saw the ship on screen, I liked it. I thought, wow, the proportionality is great. It looks nice. I actually really enjoy that. I didn't really consider the size when I first saw it. But this is the kind of ship that when you first see it, you go, oh, I like it, but then it doesn't stand up well to close scrutiny because you see everything that's wrong with it and things that don't make sense. When you design a ship, things need to make sense. They need to have a purpose.
Yes.
And this, like we just found out when you examine it up close, you just see so many things that are wrong with it and don't make sense. And you gotta make up wild theories for why it's that way.
And I want to point out that a similar ship with the Prometheus, developed 200 years later, designed to use a minimal crew, which had to be at least bridge crew. And we saw in the Doctor and other Doctor, they couldn't operate it themselves. I know they didn't know how to, but it implies different stations, so they'd have at least 3 or 4 people at least just to run it. We saw the Romulans had to use at least, well, they'd have a 32 boarding pod, I think. They had like 6 people in the bridge, and that was 400-ish meters. So that's one fourth the size, roughly.
Yeah.
So many years later, that is how you build a battleship: smaller, sleeker, packed of weapons, aggressive, and it still needed more people. And you're expecting us to believe that this ship, so much bigger, one person can operate. Well, yeah.
It's a bigger target. You don't want your warships to be targets. You want them to be something hard to hit.
But yeah, interesting design. I'll be interested. I think when we get to the third episode, we need to bring our own theories to the table, like we did in this episode, because there's so little information about the ship. There really is. They didn't get a chance to explore it. And I think there should... I would be happy to see this in the next film. I don't think there will be, but just... if the design's out there, why not have it in the background as a warship? I mean... the new Clone War. I mean, you would want to reuse this design. I'd be happy to see it again. Put it that way.
I would be too. Like I said, I like it and I want a model of it.
Yeah. But that is it for another Trekyards mission briefing, JJ style. And I think I'd be very interested to read the comments that you guys have. This was a pretty lively and heated discussion.
Again, be nice.
Oh yeah.
You can disagree and not be rude and obnoxious. Come on now, be nice.
Just saying it's rubbish doesn't help anyone. Say why. Say why you don't like it. Then we can learn. Then we can...
Complaining without offering a solution is called whining.
You heard it here first, folks. And that is it, like I said, for another Trekyards mission briefing. Your weekly dose of Trekyards ship discussion. Tune in on Saturday for our next Trekyards full episode where we take on probably an amazing ship and work out some cool things, have some cool renders, the usual. But if you guys want to support us on making those shows and this shows and any other show we do, then give us a one-time donation over at trekyards.com, anything you can spare. Or if you want to be a regular awesome supporter and regular awesome fan for our regular awesome content, go over to Patreon and donate what you can. 5 to 10 to 15 to 1,000, whatever you want to give, we will love you any way you do. So that is it for this week, and we will see you next week on Trekyards mission briefing. See you later, guys.
Bye.